It's interesting because we're with the revolution of online media and everything that's been going on with the US election and how it was influential in that election, and the online space is the growing space. It's the new kid on the block per se. It's been interesting watching the changing dynamic in Australia. There's an ABC journalist. He's currently he works for ABC radio, and they're slightly more right wing than the general ABC, so they're all right. They're doing a piece on how alternative media is influencing the election. And one of the interesting things I've been paying attention to is some of the left-wing figures and some of the right-wing figures and how our audiences engage with each one. And it's like there's an inbuilt outsourcing of people's vote. They're like, you know what? I'm going to subscribe to Friendly Geordies. I'm going to subscribe to Joel, or I'm going to subscribe to Punters Politics. And whoever they say I should vote for, I've been watching their content for a couple of years now. I trust them. I'm going to vote for. It's a laziness.
Yeah, it's very much a mental laziness, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want slaves. I don't want control. I want people to make their mind up on their own. But I see how people are falling into that. We want free thinkers. That's how you protect yourself from a government that's,
Yeah.
Otherwise Joel could be the tyrant one day, or Friendly Geordies could be the tyrant.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, how do you get past this? Because voter education's very difficult, as you'd know.
It is.
Yeah.
Because we are sort of a two-party country. I mean, United Australia Party tried to get in there, failed miserably. But we're really two parties. I'll include the Nats with the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
And the Greens are really, everything goes to Labor anyway.
Yeah, sidekick.
Yeah, so I'll just keep it as two parties.
Sure.
And to break that, we had an impetus 5 years ago, 3 to 5 years ago, to change things, and we chose not to as a population. We still kept to Dan Andrews, or we kept to Liberal Labor. That was the way we went.
Yeah, you know what's funny about the Australian situation? We're the only country in the world with preferential voting, basically. I mean, there's an island nation, and there's a couple US states that do preferential voting. But the only nation in the Five Eyes that have it properly. And it's funny because when we have a referendum, we win that outright, 60 to 70% with mandatory voting. But when it comes to an election, there's so much inefficiencies with preferential voting. It always leans left.
Yeah.
And I've been scratching my head, and I'm like, obviously what needs to happen is a reformation of the Liberals, and these minor parties on the right, all 9 of them, need to combine their efforts to form one unity ticket like the Greens do. They need to have their fights in-house, pick a person with
Yep.
and then go from there.
Yeah, well, we tried that last election, didn't we? And we tried that in Victoria anyway, and ego's got in the way, I thought.
Divide and conquer. Well, I don't think the person that can do it is in the minor parties. I think the problem is like, well, of course you'd say that. You're in the Libertarian Party or the One Nation Party. Of course you'd say that.
Yeah.
You need that, outside. I've been floating an idea. I floated it with David Flint the other day. I said, how about this? How about, I chair something in every state after this election, 60 days after this election. Depending on how many votes you get, you send a certain amount of delegates. Your delegates can only be the people that ran as candidates in the election. So if One Nation gets 40% of the vote, they can send 40% of the people that come to this thing. So we have 100 people in New South Wales. They all come, vote. They all got a combined vote of 15% in the state, all these freedom parties. And we vote on a way to conduct a primary election the next time around so that they get out of each other's way.
Yeah.
So we vote on how you assess a member that can become a part of this, how many debates. We're going to do 3 debates, how far out. And so we have all of that. We codify it fresh after an election so that the next time around we have a set of rules out about how to conduct a primary for these freedom parties. I feel like if we do that, that'll be a natural traffic controller so that they can get out of each other's way. Because I'm seeing it in real time right now. I'm the only one that's talking to all the parties. And you've got some seats where they're running like 5 freedom parties, and then you've got other seats where they're running no one, and it's like a 70% no voting seat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, if you only saw the train crash I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
And the inefficiencies, I mean, people are shocked when I say this, but with One Nation and the UAP, about 40% of their votes flow to Labor, sometimes more. Whereas with the Greens, as you know, it's 95% flow to Labor.
Yeah.
So they've got that efficiency. And I look at that and I'm like, guys, something's got to change.
Yeah.
And in a country that voted the way it voted in the referendum for the voice, this is the reason why we can't get where we need to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's good. See, you're an ideas guy, and you're that sort of, what is it, the mortar for those brickheads out there.
yeah.
You know, you're
nice.
bringing them all together.
Right.
Just trying to use an analogy.
No, I like it. I was going to say a man after my own heart. That's it.
Did you get that, Rami? Did you get that, mate?
Yeah, the freedom preference whisperer.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
That's what it will come down to.
Yeah, I think so.
And really, it's just talking to those groups and making them see sense.
I think.
And I think there's a number of people that will see it, but then there's egos that get in the way. Like UAP decided they wanted, in Victoria, wanted to do everything in Queensland. Well, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
And the more ego there is, the less popular they become over time.
Yeah, unfortunately in Victoria, the UAP wasn't really. I mean, obviously the Freedom Parties, a lot of them like it, but the others do not want to know anything about it, and it's very disappointing. It didn't need to be that way.
What's disheartening about this? Because I talk to candidates, former candidates, all the time as well. Is and you know this, Jeff, is the amount of candidates from all Freedom Parties that end up getting burnt after the election. Either their costs aren't covered, or they don't end up being contacted for 3 or 4 years until the next election comes around. And it's just this. Even if they got a member of parliament elected, it's this like disgusting, almost like a hired hooker sort of discarding of these candidates. So the idea of this council of candidates, or whatever I'm putting forward, is 60 days after the election to meet. It's the candidates that come, the people that actually do the work on the ground and get things going and get these senators up. Because what I see happening is just it's disgusting. I don't like it, because in construction you've got to have a basic sense of contract negotiation, dealing with people. I was telling someone before the show, if my dad, if he was working on a project and the guy's like, oh, you don't like the way you've done the bricks. He was a very good bricklayer. Him and his brothers. Yeah. And if they didn't get paid for the job, and the guy's like, oh, you did a terrible job, I'm not paying you. And they don't get paid. He's like, all right, no, we'll tear it down for you. Tears it down. Yep. That's the background we come from. So the idea that, there's not that basic respect with people, and they're not being treated with respect from the top down.
Well, the Libs are like that as well.
Of course.
They're quite unforgiving, unfortunately. I wish they weren't that way. But their hierarchy can be quite unforgiving, which is not good.
We need a better way, because a lot of these candidates aren't running now. So there's actually a level of disillusionment that it's like we actually have a massive morale problem.
Yeah.
And the freedom community, the donors, the volunteers, the former candidates, the voters, they're dying. They're actually dying. Like I could name you half a dozen people of each of those categories that have passed away in the time that we've been at this for 5 years. Yeah. And so I'm just like, guys, this is a closing window. I mean, it's like they hate, these freedom parties hate each other more than they want to win.
Yeah, I didn't find that myself when I was leading the United Australia Party. For me personally, you came down.
Yeah.
I liked Aidan from.
Oh yeah, he was great.
He was terrific. He's a mayor of one of the places down Victoria now. Marvellous guy, One Nation, marvellous. They were family first. That were there for great. Even the DLP, and I thought they were terrific. But I think it was the hierarchy that got a little bit too greedy and thinking they knew what they were going to do. I mean, look, United Australia Party, out of the 24 or 5 upper house seats that were in parties, they got 0.8% of the vote.
Wow.
They came 16th.
Yeah.
16th. With that big name, United Australia Party. Didn't have the money because we have limits in Victoria, but we're only doing an upper house campaign. But people were dropped. As a leader, I rang them on a regular basis, the guys that were running, especially the number one on the tickets. And so we had a pretty good relationship. But as you were saying before, the pastoral care afterwards is zero. and you've been burnt. Myself, look, it didn't worry me so much, except that they didn't listen. They didn't listen. And then since that time, we've had 2 federal by-elections in Victoria, Aston and Dunkley, that the United Australia Party did not run in. Very disappointing. And at state level, they had Warrandyte,
Yep.
Mulgrave, which was Dan Andrews' old seat. They had, and just recently, Paran and Werribee. And Werribee got the Labor lost a lot in Werribee. And Paran was won by Liberals. Labor didn't hold a candidate, and it was formerly held by Greens. So there were 6 opportunities for the UAP to pump things in. Because where else are those voters going, Joel? That voted for the UAP, where they're going to go? They're going to rock up and look for the yellow and black.
Yeah.
And they're going to go, well, where do I go? Do I go red? Do I go blue? What do I do? So you've lost that loyalty.
Was it the Dunkley by-election where, or it might have been another seat? There was a by-election down there where there were 5 freedom parties that ran, and they all got they averaged 5% each.
I don't know where that one was. I don't think it was Dunkley.
It wasn't
Dunkley's down Frankston way.
Yeah,
So.
it wasn't Dunkley. It was like one of those. It wasn't Aston. Anyway, the point was, I had a word to these parties and said, guys, you could have been like number 3 or number 2 if you just ran one person and a good ground game.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pulling my hair out. You know what the problem is, Rami? The upper house in Victoria, it's 8 regions. So it's, you know how in New South Wales with John Ruddick, we needed to get 4.3% of the vote across the whole state. It's 1 electorate for the upper house. In Victoria, it's 8.
Oh my God.
So
forget about it.
You can only get 6 up per region or 8 up per region.
No, it's because there's only 5 per region.
You can
only
only
there's
get
40 in the upper house.
40. So you can only get 5 up per region. And then what ends up happening is you can't just pick certain regions to run in. You have to, if as a party, in order to run, you have to run in every region.
Wow.
So they couldn't even carve up the state and be like, oh, One Nation can run where Ricky Lee is, and no one should run against Limbrick in his area. Wow. It's actually quite a complicated deal. And then add a bit of a garnish of ego, you can't get anything done.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, you got, obviously the preference whisperer running around with his various clients. Got nothing against what he does. I just disagree with some of the people he's taken on. He sees a gap in the market, and what he's doing, there's nothing illegal about it.
No.
But I mean, the guy is a professional. I mean, that guy picked them apart like cotton candy.
Wow.
I mean, seeing if you followed that election, I get shocked when I tell you the preference to some people, they've never heard of him. I'm like, you're meeting one of the greatest political minds in this country. Like, you have no idea. That guy's mathematics and getting people elected is brilliant.